Another Dooley Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and hello, everybody. Welcome into another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gators Studio. It's the first time I had to say it. I screwed it up. Meldon Law Gators Studio. That's the way we're going to call the Meldon Law Gators Studio. Of course, it's Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, so got a lot of plugs in there, and that's great. We got a great guest today. Chris Doering is going to join us. It's going to be a lot of fun talking to him, and I look forward to that. On Friday, it'll be. See, now I don't think you want to cover up my entire face. I know I'm an ugly man. Nobody's watching this because they're going, look at that guy. Nobody. We don't want to totally cover me up, though, so I can see me. All right, so we got a lot to talk about. A lot obviously happened over the weekend, and we got all the great things to get to as well. So it's one of those weekends where you kind of don't know where to start. Do you start with the NFL playoffs? I mean, that was really the big story of the weekend nationally. But locally, I think what happened with Florida, men's basketball, with women's basketball, with gymnastics, was a bigger story here. But I'll get to the NFL. I got a lot of things to say about that. Let's talk about men's basketball first. First half, I said basically, I was telling Kelsey, I go, because we're watching the game together. I go, man, they've quit. They've given up. I didn't think they would. I do get why they would. With both of your starting centers out, Jatobo out for the year, Castleton's basically out for the year. I mean, we don't know if he's ever coming back. If he comes back, it'll be a miracle. But if he doesn't, at some point they're going to make a decision about surgery. And, you never know what's breaking news as you're starting out a show like this. But I don't know whether he's going to come back at all this year. So you're without that, and it looked like a team that wasn't playing hard. And that's something that we saw with football. We saw times when they did not play hard. And that doesn't mean everybody wasn't playing hard. It means some guys weren't playing hard. But in the second half, look, Mike White peeled the paint on the locker room wall. I mean, he was mad, and he got on him, and it's pretty clear he got on him and said, look, what are you guys doing? I didn't see this coming. I thought you guys played hard, and I admit they play. Nobody can say that Mike White's teams don't play hard. They always play hard. They played hard against Tennessee and lost. They used the talent level and without a center. But in this game, the talent level wasn't egregiously bad in the favor of Oklahoma State. They're not a great team. And Florida came out and played an unbelievable half of basketball, and it was fun to watch. And the Gators were fun to watch again. The crowd was into it. So a good win. Not a great win. It's a quad 2, I think. In fact, I looked up the net, and I know you guys get tired of me talking about the net. It actually was at 40. I think it was at 40 today. Yeah, there it is. 40 was the net. The biggest thing was that Florida, and this is the way this team is built. This team, and I think they know it. I think they get it. I think they understand their identity, but sometimes they don't play to it. Like their identity is to be unbelievably tough on defense, and if you make a shot, it's a great shot. And then if we make a shot, we're a little surprised. It went in. Hey, great, but we're going to make enough of them because we're going to play enough defense on the other end. Well, part of that whole philosophy and identity of this basketball team is that you have a rim protector. They don't have one anymore. I mean, these guys do block shots, and DeRuzi's unbelievable in that way, but you don't have a guy that's bodying up and protecting the rim and getting the ball out in a hurry. So it's totally screwed up everything they're trying to do, having both those guys out. But they won, and they play at Missouri on Wednesday. That's a late game. Missouri can play well. They took Auburn to a point game. They only lost by a point. Conzo Martin, I think he's a good coach, but this team is not anything special. I think their record is like 8-12 or something like that. Anyway, so we'll see how that goes. In the second half of that game, though, this goes back to the identity that Florida showed, was that they only gave up 7 field goals in the whole second half. And that's where, remember the Vanderbilt game, they only gave up 3 field goals and a half? I mean, that's who they are. Even without these guys, that's the only way you can win games, is to play great defense. And a lot of times you're not going to be able to get away with only playing it for a half. All right, so that is the men's basketball part of this. Obviously, we also had gymnastics going on as well with the what was wrong with the thing? Did I bump it? Okay. We had gymnastics going on as well, which was a big story. And we had Jeffrey Meldon in here from Meldon Law, of course, Meldon Law Gator Studios. And so we watched that. Karen and I watched that, and it was really good. And really, I mean, Florida just destroyed them. 2 10s from 2 of the gymnasts, and they weren't in Florida's league. You could see that, and even though they're a pretty good team. And that's the funny thing, that in women's sports, and we saw that the next day, the cream of the crop tends to be way up here, and others receiving votes is way down there, or even in the second 10. It does tend to be that way. Now, you can make that argument that football's that way. College football's that way. And I'm going to get to that point in a minute. But great job by the gymnasts to do a great job. They looked like they were in midseason form. They didn't have a great floor routine, but still won easily. And they did look like they were in postseason form. So, and then they turn it around the next day, and the people at the O'Connell Center had to get ready for women's basketball. So they went gymnastics, basketball, women's basketball. Not much turnaround from women's basketball to men's basketball, or men's basketball to women's basketball. The ball's smaller, but that's about it. And, of course, Florida, we were at the game. Karen and I went to the game, and obviously this is not what you wanted to see. You didn't want to start out with a 19-3 first quarter deficit. You weren't going to win the game. And the fans that were there, and there were over 5,000 people there. The lower bowl was pretty much filled, and it was great to see. And you could see the smiles on these girls when they ran out. This is what we built. We built this by winning all these games in a row, by beating these ranked teams. And so people came out to see us. And then I don't know if it was too big for them. I don't know if they were tight. I don't know if they were tired. Whatever they did, they couldn't make a shot at all in the first half, or first quarter especially. And all their shots kept coming up short. It was weird. Like they weren't getting shots above the rim. I think they were a little intimidated by the size of South Carolina. But in the second half, of course, Florida actually outscored them at the end of the game 33-17. Unfortunately, by then it didn't really matter. I mean, it was just a matter of how much was South Carolina going to win by, but they did show a little pride. Look, they've got another big game, Tennessee, coming up on Thursday night. What time is that game? 6 o'clock, I think it is. Yeah. I think it's 6 o'clock. I'm looking for it. Yeah, here it is. Tennessee, yeah, 6 o'clock. They got Tennessee, who's also ranked very high. I don't know exactly where their rank is. I don't think the rankings have come out yet. So that'll be big. And I would love to see a nice crowd there for them. I mean, Karen and I went. We wanted to go support them. Playing again, when I wanted to see number one and see what they look like in person too. I really did. That was a lot of it. I wanted to see Dawn Staley. Dawn Staley was the weirdestly dressed person. Is that a word? Weirdestly? She had clogs and like this huge baggy sweatshirt on. It was weird. It's not like we used to see from the college coaches. Remember when the men's college coaches were all dapper? The only one that dresses now is Jerry Stackhouse. The rest of them come out in their sweatsuits and everything. And I'm sure they're comfortable. Why did they do that in the first place? Why don't Major League Baseball coaches and college coaches just come out in gym shorts? That's what they want to wear. I mean, just do it. So we had that, and then we had the NFL. And the NFL was amazing. And I'm sure that Roger Goodell and all the people in the NFL are sitting there going, my neck's hurting because I don't know where to look. Do I look at that stack of money or that stack of money? What a finale of the season they've had. Whatever happens in the Super Bowl, it's almost, I'm sure it'll be good. But if it's not, these 6 games are as good as they've ever seen in the NFL. And there's a reason for it. There is a reason for it, in my opinion. And congratulations to the Rams, who I'm not saying I'm a fan, by the way. I'm not saying I'm a fan. I'm saying I'm rooting for the Rams. I used to root for the Rams. It's a long story. I quit rooting for them when they moved to St. Louis. I didn't really like that they moved back. And now I've kind of gotten back into it. And I wanted them to win the game yesterday, okay? I'm not a Rams fan. I can't take credit for that. I like the Bengals, too. And I was kind of rooting for the Chiefs to start the game. And then when the Bengals were down so much, I would start rooting for the Bengals to make it a game. And, of course, they did. And they won it. So I said this last week. There wasn't a overwhelming thing for me in terms of rooting for one team or the other. There wasn't a negative team to root against. The tomahawk chop made the tomahawk. Can we edit that? The tomahawk chop made it easier for me to be okay with the Chiefs losing. I will say that, and always does. But here's the thing with college football and the NFL, and we're talking about playoffs and all this and all those things that are being done. The NFL has parity, and the reason they have parity is they let the bad teams take the best players, okay? Well, you can't do that in college football. You can't say, hey, look, I know you're Johnny Five-Star, but you have to go to Kansas, That's not going to happen. And there could be a day when we see that happen, the way it's going with college football now, where players are basically being paid to play. I could see in 15 years where players don't have to go to school. I could see all kinds of things. I don't like where it's going, but it's going there, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing to stop it. But the bottom line is that the NFL has ways for teams to get better. If you don't follow the steps and you don't do it well, Jacksonville did get better. They took advantage of free agency, the cap room, and the players they were drafting, and brought in guys like Jalen Ramsey and Leonard Fournette, and got within one bad call of the Super Bowl. Just, what was it, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was. But you can do that in the NFL. The Bengals were the laughingstock of the NFL for so long. They had that great run where they were with Sam Weiss, where they got to a couple Super Bowls, ran into the 49ers, but then they were the laughingstock for a long time, where nobody even knew who their coach was a lot of times. And it was embarrassing for them. And now all of a sudden, they do a good job in the draft. They get a generational quarterback, elite wide receiver, which you have to have in the NFL. The two teams in the Super Bowl probably had the best two wide receivers in the world. Cooper Kupp and Jamar Chase. I'll take those two guys. You take any two you want. I don't care. Cooper Kupp is unbelievable. But so anyway, I mean, you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to build it quickly, because if you do it well, if you draft well, if you sign the right free agents and don't get guys that are just looking for a place to retire. Well, in college football, you can't do that, and this is why we don't have parity in college football, because in the NFL, there is a group of people, of men in suits, that are trying to make the NFL the best it can be. That's all their goal is. And let me tell you what, right now there are hundreds of people in New York in a room trying to figure out how do we best capitalize on this incredible playoff run we've had. Let's do it right now. That doesn't happen in college football. There is a group of people in suits in a room. How do we make the SEC better? How do we make the Big 12 better? How do we make the most money we can for the Pac-12? That's why. And that's why I don't know if we'll ever see parity like they have in the NFL. You know, there used to be a joke when you would win the division at 7-9 that parity, it's a joke in the NFL. No, it's good. It was good. It's always been good. We all want to see that. But that's the way it is. The NFL is about dynamics. College football is about dynasties. That's the way it works. And it's not going to change. And I don't know that it'll ever change. But when you're part of one of those dynasties, and Florida had one, Florida had a big sports dynasty, I like to call it. When they won the back-to-back basketball championships and won 2 national championships in football in 3 years, it was incredible. That was a dynasty. You can't say it wasn't a dynasty. There was a dynasty in the SEC under Steve Spurrier. It's great to be part of one, but for everybody else, it sucks. It just does. And that's not what you want. You really don't in your sport, if you care about your sport. You don't want everybody to suck except you. But if you care about your school or your team that you love, yeah, Patriots had a dynasty. That's pretty much over. But even that, teams, there was a way to find a way through it, and you never knew who they were going to be playing. They were playing the Jaguars 4 years ago, and the winner goes to the Super Bowl. That's how crazy it is in the NFL. It's kind of converting me from college football. I don't know. At least we know what these guys are making. So anyway. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Chris Doering is going to join us from the SEC Network, and, of course, one of the great wide receivers of all time at the University of Florida. Love having him on. He's one of my favorite people in the world as well, and as are his parents. And I hear we may get a special surprise during this show. We may get a surprise visitor at Chris Doering's house. So we'll see what happens here. You're watching Another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Another Duly Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. More than 6,000 veterans take their lives each year, with more than 500 of them occurring in Florida. The Fire Watch Council was established to unite our war fighters and allies to stand watch and build a mutual aid network of veterans and civilian volunteers across Florida trained to identify risk factors of veterans in crisis and to direct those veterans to needed resources. You can invest an hour to join our support network by becoming a watchstander to stand in the gap and support our veterans. Go to thefirewatch.org to learn how to get involved, get off the sidelines, and take a stand on behalf of our veterans. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he has just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. to go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
All right, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gators studio at the C. Spurrier Gridiron Grill. So did we put enough plugs in there for that? That was a pretty good plug. Right now we're going to go to a guy who has done a great job both doing on the SEC network and wherever you see him, and of course has a mortgage business, and he was also caught a few passes. I remember one of them especially. Our great friend Chris Doering. What's going on, Chrissy?
My man, good to be back with you, Pat.
Look at that dog.
Yeah, this is my new little puppy. Not so little anymore. This is Butters. He's a golden doodle. Was born in April. Supposed to be a medium, but he's well outgrown the medium status right now. And he thinks he's a lap dog. So every time I'm doing radio in here, he jumps in my lap and chills with me. So
look, this is a very dog-friendly show. I will tell you that.
Good.
We've had dogs.
I know you love dogs.
I do, and we've had dogs on this show before. In fact, we've had dogs on national podcasts because Archie would not shut up in the background while I was doing them. But so anyway, yeah, we're good with the dog. Believe me. So you're heading to Mobile right now, right? Or is it Mobile or is it Mobile?
I think it's Mobile as far as I'm concerned, but there's probably some folks that call it Mobile, right? But yeah, as you and I were talking about off the air, it's not an easy place to get to. So especially right now, flights still being limited with the pandemic, and I just got back from Miami on Sunday. I was down in the Keys for a wedding. By the way, nothing worse than being in the Keys when it's like in the 40s and the wind's blowing. Yeah. It was miserable, but just got back yesterday, and I'm going to jump on another flight less than 24 hours later. So that's kind of been the
Was that Adam Reardon's wedding?
It was, yeah, Adam's wedding.
Yeah.
I forgot that, yeah.
We worked together for a little while, yeah. I mean,
right.
I over in Ocala, so.
Yep.
Good. Well, I saw the video on Facebook, and he, again, outkicked his coverage, but I mean.
He did.
We all
do. He outkicked his coverage. But here's the thing, bro. That guy might be one of the nicest people around. And, he always infuriated Gator fans with his Miami allegiance and all the takes that he had. But really a great guy. And one that I, like yourself, that I credit a lot of what I've been able to do here, in my post-playing days to stuff that I was doing early on with you and Adam, and I did stuff for a long time, and Brady Ackerman. So it's fun to look back and reminisce on all the different people that have contributed to some of the success I've had in this broadcasting business so far.
Well, and we have always appreciated you, even when you were a player. It was just great to go talk to you. And that was back in the days when you talked to players face to face. And I mean, obviously, we're dealing with the pandemic is probably just going to tighten restrictions on everything, even going forward out of the pandemic. And that's something that I know you guys at the SEC Network wish you had a little bit more where you could get to know people than you can now. Well,
in the beginning, we did have a lot more opportunity to do that. Some of the best times and some of the best television was from our spring tours. We would go, when the schools were in the middle of spring practice, we'd have 3 days on campus with coaches and players and getting a chance to see what was going on. And that access is kind of, I don't know if it's the access is limited or the budget, has been reduced from the SEC network or what, but it just, I missed those days, and that was obviously completely taken away the last 2 years. So I'm hoping to get back out this spring and get a chance to see some people and face-to-face a little bit more and build those relationships heading into the off season.
So what are you doing at the Senior Bowl? What's your plan there?
Working Sirius XM stuff. We'll be Jacob Hester and I will be doing a bunch of shows. Actually, they definitely get their money's worth, because we'll do some shows on ESPNU on Channel 84, be involved in some NFL shows later that night with our good friend Alex Marvez, who it's been fun to catch up with him.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it'll be, you know how it is. The Senior Bowl is not so much about the game as it is about the practices during the week. So we'll cover practices the next few days, do the show live from the practices, and just get a bunch of access to the players that are there.
I think it was it Jacob Hester on Sirius Radio this week that said growing up he hated Chris Doering, and he finally, then once he got to know you, he realized you were a good. Was it Hester? It could have been. It could have been pretty much anybody in the SEC.
Lot of people. Yeah. I think that's you know how that is. I always say that about Buck Bellew, a guy that I hated as a kid because it terrorized my life. With Lindsey Scott and all. And then you get to meet him, and he's a really nice guy. And you know this. I mean, we get so entrenched in our tradition at our school and the colors and everything else, but you go around the league, and that's been one of the things I've experienced and appreciated the most, is just getting to know all of these different people at the different schools. Like, people probably will say that it's taboo, but as I say this, like, I enjoyed watching this year's Georgia team. I think a lot of Kirby Smart.
Too. Yeah,
I like the players on that team. I know it was a long time coming, and Florida fans have had a great time laughing at them for the last 41 years. But it was a fun team to watch, much like Alabama's team last year, much like the 2019 LSU team. And so I think it has more to do, at this point for me, about the people than it does necessarily about the schools and the traditions.
Yeah. By the way, the memorabilia behind you, you look like you're getting ready to start your own restaurant, or maybe like a branch of Spurrier's.
Yeah. We come by here for a drink before you go to Spurrier's, like a pub crawl kind of thing. But yeah, actually, the Spurrier jersey, that's one of my prized possessions. It says, to Chris, one of my all-time favorite players.
Aww.
Could not have asked for a better leader, mentor in my life than Coach Spurrier. Outside of my parents, probably the most impactful person on the trajectory of my life. And then got the Dr. J jersey here that I
I see that. Yeah.
I don't know if you were at, it was DeMarco's tournament a number of years back. And they do a great job. The DeMarco's tournaments were so much fun. But like any other tournament, they get you a few cocktails in you. They get the live auction going. The competitive juices start flowing. So I'm bidding on this. End up winning it, and it was not in a frame at the time, so I left with the jersey, and by the end of the night, it's 2 a.m, I got it on in the parking lot with nothing underneath it. So I don't know if that was the way it was designed, but that's where it was.
There's got to be video somewhere of that.
Oh, there's pictures for sure. I'll find some for you. You wouldn't expect anything different from me, Pat. Come on.
No, it's one thing I admire of you. There's other people that I don't want to see in that Dr. J jersey, and me being one of those people. So, but no, it's that's great stuff, man. But yeah, it is. We're going to start having Coach Spurrier on here a little bit more often on this show. And the thing is, living in town, you're reminded of Steve Spurrier every day. You can't go anywhere without being reminded of him.
Yeah.
But you never look at it and go. You always look at it probably and go, "Thank God,"
Yeah. For me specifically, it was weird because I, growing up here in Gainesville, the son of 2 Florida grads that were just after Coach Spurrier, and all I ever heard about, we didn't have SEC championships, we didn't have national championships. The only thing that we ever heard about was the one Heisman Trophy winner at Florida, which was Steve Spurrier, and that was the kind of one thing that everybody hung their hat on. And so when he returned to Gainesville, I remember that, that what was it, December of '89 or January 1st of '90.
It was the 31st. It was New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I remember where I was in that announcement of him coming back, and then I had a chance to go to Florida football camp his first year and got to meet him a little bit. And I think that's ultimately what got me the opportunity to go in as a preferred walk-on. But this, Coach Spurrier, he didn't care if you were a scholarship guy, if you're a walk-on guy. He wanted the guy that would do what was asked of him and could perform, in those clutch situations. And I think he always respected me for, the way I came in shape and competed in the conditioning test, the 12-minute run that was famous, he was famous for, and then, just gave me opportunities that I was able to take advantage of. But I look back at how everything kind of fell into place, and all of that being made possible because of Coach Spurrier and just the impact that he's had on my life as this guy that was larger than life and has then, become a friend now. And I think you would agree, the way that he's kind of his life cycle and being around town now, and how much more accessible he is and how patient he is with people that want to talk to him now. It's a much different set of demands on him now than when he was the head coach around here. So it's been kind of fun to see him become a little bit more open as he's gotten older and past his coaching days.
He's got a lot of stories still to tell. I mean, I hear a new one all the time. Every time I talk to him, and one thing he told me the other day was if he was coaching now, it would be a totally different offense because he's learned so much watching all these coaches. And I'm like, somebody should be hiring you as not as an ambassador, but as a analyst. Yeah. I don't know if he'd want to do it, but he would be great.
I tried to talk him into, this was before the Georgia game this year. And I said, Coach, I want to shoot something, as part of our SEC Now coverage. I want to sit down. I want to get you, some tape of the Georgia defense. I want you to analyze them, and I want you to put a game plan together for how you would attack this Georgia defense this year. As historic as they are, how would you, if you were the head coach, go about trying to beat them and take advantage of where you see some weaknesses? And unfortunately, it didn't come together. But I thought that would have been a really cool piece to see how his mind would work against today's defenses and what he would do against one that's as celebrated as that Georgia defense was.
Yeah, it's surprising he hasn't just taken that on as a role, as a consulting fee. He could probably make even more than he's making now, although, everything he touches turns to gold, as we know. As it does with former University of Florida athletes, football players, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, women's basketball, whatever, doing well in TV, as you have done unbelievably well. And now we've got a new guy. We're kind of nursing him along. And Patrick Young, he's on the very same set that you usually occupy.
Yeah, it's been fun. I had a chance to, when Patrick was going to audition, my boss, Pete Waters, kind of connected Patrick with me and with Gene Chizik, and kind of talk through, what the audition process was going to be like and what the job entails. And he's just such a personable guy and authentic. And that's what television's all about. And it's one of the hardest things to do, is to try to figure out not how to be somebody else, but how to be yourself on the air and let that come across. And I think he does a really good job of that. He's only going to get better as he continues to get more reps. But it really was fun. One of his first shows on the network was when we were doing some of the crossover stuff when basketball season was starting and football was still underway. So sharing a set with him, another former Gator, a guy that I had a chance to, talk to a little bit as he was getting into this business, it's been fun. In fact, he just literally texted me today. And so it's been a nice friendship that we've been able to create, and really happy to see another Gator having success in this world of media here.
Yeah, are we getting to a point where there's an oversaturation of Gator media? With everybody.
I don't think so. I don't think so. But I do.
Collinsworth.
I do say this though: there is a sensitivity to that, particularly at the network, where they don't want to be too heavy with one particular school, and there's a lot that they have to balance. But I'm obviously very proud of my degree from the College of Journalism at the University of Florida, and so many other folks have had an opportunity to go through there and turn that into big jobs in television and radio. So it's fun to watch, fun to work with all of these different Gators. I got a chance to catch up with Jesse Palmer at the national championship game in Indianapolis, and obviously Laura is one of the best, and just so many different guys. Folks forget that Gene Chizik is actually a Gator, and sad to lose him from the network, but excited about his defensive coordinator spot with the Carolina folks up there in Chapel Hill. But lot of
But let me ask you this: how many games did he play in? I think the answer may be 0.0.
Yeah, I've never asked him that. I didn't want to broach that subject. But I'll say this though. Saturdays in the studio, there's not a guy cheering harder for the Gators offset than Gene Chizik. So
really?
It's fun to kind of have that connection with Coach in that way. Yeah.
Did you ever think about the fact that both you and your hero, Chris Collinsworth, went into broadcasting?
Yeah, I mean, again, I talk about people that have impacts on my life. Like, he was the guy that I wanted to model myself after as a player. And part of the reason I got into broadcasting, I remember he was working at, what was that, WLW, I guess, that Cincinnati station up there.
Yeah,
and
with Bob Trumpy, yeah.
Yeah, I remember I was on his show a couple times up there and would listen. There were days I sound like an old guy, but you could kind of
back in my day.
Yeah, right. Remember the old days, like at night on a cold, clear night, you could kind of get the station a little bit here. But I remember, having been on there with him and just watching his career kind of blossom with HBO and NBC and Fox, and now what he's doing on Sunday Night Football. So it's like it really has been kind of eerie the way that I've followed in his footsteps in a lot of different aspects from football to broadcasting. Yeah,
it is amazing. And do you still have that? We got to get that picture. You've got that picture, right, of you and Chris together, right?
Yeah, I got the one of Florida Fan Day. Remember back in the day they would do the Florida Fan Day out on Florida Field? Yeah. I have
a picture of me with David Starkey, believe it or not, on Florida Fan Day.
I remember the name.
Yeah. He was a big 6'8" defensive lineman. I wanted to get a picture of him. We got to get that picture signed by you and Chris. Blow it up, get it signed by you and Chris, get it framed. We have a framer. Put it in the silent auction for the Bob Dooley Invitational.
I'll send it to you. I have the picture right in my phone. I'll send it to you when we get done with the podcast here, man.
That sounds great. We'll do that. Last thing before I let you go, Chris, and I know you got to get a plane, but I don't know how much contact you've had with Billy Napier, but obviously, what everything he's doing seems to be heading in the right direction. But have you ever seen anything like the fall of Dan Mullen and this immediate rise of Billy Napier? It's kind of spooky in a way.
I've never even seen as precipitous a drop-off as what we saw. I mean, from going from the SEC championship game, a possession away from beating the ultimate national champion, to being fired, less than a year later. It's just really weird to see. And it looked like almost complete capitulation by the time you got to November. But yeah, I just think that this fan base has been so hungry for success, and having been a part of following Georgia this year to Atlanta for the SEC championship game, to Miami for the semifinals, to Indianapolis for the national championship game. Personally, I miss the days of seeing Gator fans being a part of those big games, and I'm hoping that Coach Napier can get us back there. But it's been fun to see. Hey, personally, you mentioned my mortgage business. We've benefited from all the guys they've hired, from coaches to analysts to support staff. It's been nice to see.
Where are they all going to live?
yeah. We're helping a few of them right now, and just the every one of them that I talk to, like, hey, we're going to kill it here. Coach Napier is as focused and as energetic as you've ever been around, and I firmly believe that it's going to be very soon, sooner rather than later, before we're talking about Florida back in these big games again.
Is that something you can or can't do as far as talking to the team if they ask you to do that, or doing something for the team because you are on a network? Is that is there a restriction there?
Sure. I think that's the best part about working for the SEC network, is that everybody understands that we all played at one of these 14 schools, that we all have allegiances there, that we can, love our schools, but at the same time be objective when we're on the air. So we do get we even on the air get a chance to have some fun with it too, which I think is fun and more authentic. But I got a chance to send out a message for the new signing class on Wednesday as part of one of the former Gator videos. So yeah, I'm definitely included in that and appreciate the opportunity for sure.
That's really great, man. Hey, great talking to you. Have fun in Mobile. Stay out of trouble out there. Don't take your shirt off at any point.
You know this. It's the biggest accumulation of dudes that you'll ever be around. It's like being at training camp. It's the everyday fives are like training camp nines. That's how it is when you go to Mobile. Same kind of situation. Huh?
Exactly. Well, thanks, Chris. I appreciate you coming on.
All right, man. Talk to you later, Pat.
All right, we will be back with more of Another Dooley Noted Podcast. We got a lot of fun things to get to, and we'll get to them right after this break here on Another Dooley Noted Podcast.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Another Dooley Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Spite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he has just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it. More than 6,000 veterans take their lives each year, with more than 500 of them occurring in Florida. The Fire Watch Council was established to unite our war fighters and allies to stand watch and build a mutual aid network of veterans and civilian volunteers across Florida trained to identify risk factors of veterans in crisis and to direct those veterans to needed resources. You can invest an hour to join our support network by becoming a watchstander to stand in the gap and support our veterans. Go to thefirewatch.org to learn how to get involved, get off the sidelines, and take a stand on behalf of our veterans. Okay, and welcome back to another Duly Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Studios here at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Meldon Law, of course, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. We appreciate them being on board. We got a lot of things to get to, and we'll go ahead and start out with three things. We always like to talk about Hand Law. Three things is presented, as always, by Hand Law, a Florida law firm which helps clients with government. You can learn more about Hand Law by visiting its website, www.hand.law. The firm is available for consultation in Jacksonville. We appreciate them for being part of this, and we appreciate all of you for watching, all of you that have watched on different formats. We just got handed a note that on YouTube, we just passed 8,000 hours of people watching my ugly mug on just on YouTube. So that's great. You know what the number one viewed episode was? The one with Noah and Doug Johnson, which I knew would be good, and it was really good. They were really good on it, but that was the number one. It was 292 hours of people watching it. If there's a way to kind of block me out, that would have been really good. So anyway, we appreciate that. We appreciate everybody. We appreciate all of our sponsors. We're still trying to get one more. We got a couple of things we want to get sponsored, and if you have any interest in doing that, and certainly if you're a YouTube person, subscribe to YouTube and subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, and it'll pop up and let you know, because I know on my phone I'll be sitting there going, oh, I got to watch me again. No, I'll go to the next thing. because I already know what I said. All right, so 3 things are presented by Hand Law. Let's start out with number 1. The NFL made another hiring today. Josh McDaniels to the Raiders, which is a hire that makes sense to me. What's in common with everybody that's been hired so far? Oh, they're all white. Shocking. It's one of those things, man. I mean, I don't get. And again, there's still 5 openings, so I hope somebody's going to get hired. But I'm not saying you should get hired just because you're African American. You should get hired because you're qualified. Don't tell me Eric Bieniemy and Brian Leftwich aren't qualified for jobs in the NFL. People like that. But I don't know. It's kind of a weird dynamic that they're dealing with in the NFL. So we'll see who that it ends up being. I did see Larry Fedora just got hired for a USFL job again, white. But again, I'm not trying to be critical of anybody for making a hire, because you make hires based on what's good for you. But that's where the league comes in and says, well, look, you've got to do at least this. You've got to at least give these people consideration who are not white. But just the way it works in the NFL. And again, you see somebody get hired who's the son of somebody. It's always this guy. Now, it worked out really well for the 49ers. They hired the son of one of the more brilliant coaches, and it has worked out well. All right, so anyway, that's number 1. Number 2, did Tom Brady retire? Because I'm still not sure. Look, that was the story on Saturday when you see that red breaking news thing, and that pops up, and you go, whoa. And you're sitting there, and all you're doing is your mind is going through the ramifications of this, how it affects Tampa Bay, how it affects him. I'm not a big, huge Brady fan. I like him. I think he's really good. I respect him tremendously. I think I've gotten a little too much of him lately, and I'm ready for him to retire. But because there's just so much not involved on the football field. But that was all that stuff's running through my mind, and then all of a sudden I'm sitting in my recliner, and all of a sudden I went, Kyle Trask, because Kyle Trask could be the next quarterback of the Tampa Bay Bucks, and it's a good situation because you're inheriting really good players that were good enough to win a Super Bowl last year, and I don't know what their salary cap and what their other numbers are and how many guys may be in free agency, but it's going to be a good team that he's inheriting. A better team than Jameis Winston had, to be honest with you, and he's not as good a quarterback as Kyle Trask. I'm happy for that, and now I guess I have to be a full-on Bucs fan. If Kyle Trask is their quarterback, I have no choice. He's one of my favorite guys to ever be here. One of my favorite interviews I've ever done when I was a newspaper guy was interviewing Kyle Trask before he made it big, talking about why in the world did he come back when the starting quarterback's coming back. And he was just so great. We had such a great conversation. I always remember that one. Finally, at number 3, I don't know what's going on at Auburn, but their defensive coordinator left, who was Derek Mason, and went to Oklahoma State. And now their offensive coordinator, who they fired, Mike Bobo, and Mike Bobo went to Georgia as a grad assistant or whatever they call those analysts. But they hire a guy from Seattle, quarterback coach there, okay. Austin Davis, had a college background, obviously. And here we are 2 months later, and he leaves for personal reasons. I don't know what's going on there. It just feels like a mess. And I feel bad for Brian Harsin. There was a point there last year where it seemed like he was on top of the world. They were winning. I think they were 5-2 at that point, and then they just went down the tubes. And now he can't keep coaches there at all. So that is 3 things presented by the great Chris Hand at Hand Law. We appreciate him. It is time now for our Adams Ribco to go Gator of the weekend. Boy, did I have some options this weekend. There have been a lot of days when I've gone, here's a Gator. Our Gator of the week is somebody I saw walking down the street with a Gator hat on, because it's been a week when nothing has happened. Nothing good has happened. This weekend there was tons of good that happened, And I decided, though, to go with Leanne Wong, the freshman gymnast who had a 10 on the bars and won the all-around, her first all-around. She's going to win a lot more. This team is loaded. They were so much fun to watch. Trinity Thomas looks like she's not even trying, and she's getting 10s. And I don't mean she's not trying. I mean, that's how smooth she is. This team is a lot of fun to watch. We talked to Jeffrey Melton about that on Friday of last week, and they were giving away all these packages, and they will continue to do that. All you got to do is go to Meldon Law Facebook page and register for these packages that include not only tickets for basketball, tickets for gymnastics, but gift certificates at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. So that's a great deal there. But she is our Adams Ribco to go Gator of the weekend. And, of course, I hit Adams up this weekend. So it was perfect. Adams Ribco, Pat Dooley ate it, Gator of the weekend. But appreciate Leanne Wong for being as good as she is. And they're just so good. It's so much fun to watch. Let us move now to our Leonardo's Millhopper Quick Picks. This is the last one to qualify. If you get in on this one, your name goes in, and we'll give Robbie a option to pick a number, whatever number it is. I'll have them all written down. We had several people qualify this weekend. You got it right if you said 6. So the SEC would win 6, and the SEC flexed its muscles a little bit and said, hey, we're still the best. We're the best conference. We beat you last year. We're beating you this year. No, think about that, Big 12. They're supposed to be the best conference, but they beat you last year 5-4. They beat you this year 6-4. Should have been 7-3. I don't know how Tennessee lost that game. And it's certainly Florida's win was the difference maker. That's the way I'm going to call it. The Kentucky-Kansas game. You're excited about watching that, and it's over like 10 minutes in. That was not fun. In fact, the games themselves were not great. But the Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks, the final qualifier. It's a very simple. I've tried to make it as simple as possible. Florida playing Wednesday at Missouri, men's, playing Tennessee at home. Tennessee's really good, but not as good as South Carolina. I mean, you saw that game. If you saw it, Florida played really well in the second half and played right there with them, but Tennessee's not quite at that level. But I mean, Florida's got to play at a high level. You can't start out 19-3. You just can't do that. So all I'm asking you is, how many wins? 0, 1, 2. 0, 1, 2. Or 3. You can put 3 down. You're not going to be correct. So 0, 1, or 2, and that is our Leonardo's and Millhopper Quick Picks for this. And then we'll pick a winner on Friday. Robbie Andrew will be in here, and we'll pick a winner on the Leonardo's and Millhopper Quick Picks. Okay, it is time for Hesser and Kipke's spreads of the week, actually. And so we'll give you the early odds. The Rams by 4. I've seen 4.5 already. I don't know that it'll move a lot. I think it may move up for the Rams as the spreads go. And that is our Super Bowl. Of course, next weekend or next Monday, it could have moved, and we'll have a new spread for you. But that is one of our spreads of the week. Monday games, we have a lot of good Monday games tonight. Duke is a 5.5-point favorite at Notre Dame. Notre Dame has a knack for beating teams, and they're not that good, but Duke is a weird team. Duke is either really good or really not good, and they're hard to figure. Iowa, I wanted to get this in for Ken Hesser, who loves Penn State. Iowa is a 4-point favorite at Penn State, and TCU, a 5.5-point favorite, or 5.5-point underdog at Oklahoma, even though they beat LSU last week. So that's going to be really interesting to see some of those games tonight. And, of course, the Hesser and Kipke Monday spreads are always brought to you by Hesser and Kipke, a law firm based in Hale Plantation, specializing in employment, workers' comp, and family law. Visit their website at www.hklawfl.com or call Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920. Hesser and Kipke. Double sponsors. We love them. We love all our sponsors. We're hoping to get one more. Just one more. That's all we need, and we'll be all set. And I appreciate all these sponsors because I know everybody gets excited about football, but I think if you watch this show, we're just looking at this, 8,800 or 8,000 people have watched this on YouTube already. We get good guests, and we're going to continue to get good guests. Coach Spurrier is going to be joining us a lot more, and that'll be fun. Robbie Andrew on Friday, and then we'll let you know on the other ones. All right, to wrap it up, and this is a good wrap-up, it is time for the Alex Wesley Construction 12-pack. We do this every Monday, and these are the early prop bets for Super Bowl. What is it? Super Bowl. I wrote it down so I would know. What? 56, I think it is. Oh, yeah, it is 56. LVI. LVI. Do you think anybody learns their Roman numerals based on Super Bowls? Or I think early you kind of did. Like if you saw IV, you went, oh, what is it's 4? Okay, now I can go. So we had to learn those in school when I was a kid. I don't think kids now. Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's cool. Anyway, by the way, I did not mention this. I should have mentioned it earlier. Florida beat FSU in men's tennis and women's tennis this weekend to go to Seattle for the ITAs. Beat them 4-1 and 4-0. I always want to get those in when Florida beats FSU and anything, okay? And I'm sure that Alex Wesley will appreciate that. All right, the Alex. Now, some of these are real. Some of them I've come up with. And I didn't even include, like, what are the odds on me making chili on Super Bowl Sunday? They're pretty good, but it's not a slam dunk. What are the odds of me being invited to a party? They're 50-50, I would say. And what are the odds of me going to that party? They're not good. But you never know. You never know. I have become very Howard Stern-like, very, very much staying at home a lot. But I did get out and go to the women's basketball game on Sunday. All right, the Alex Wesley Construction 12-pack. These are early prop bets. Number 1, first team to score. That's always won every year. Number 2, and I like this one. I saw this one on one of the sites. Jamar Chase, Mixon, and Boyd, which 2 score. That is a interesting bet to make. Obviously the odds are pretty good on it. Number 3, Cooper Kupp scores a touchdown. I'll raise my hand and saying I'll bet on that every day of the week. That guy is the best player in the game, Cooper Kupp. He's unbelievable. Number 4, and this is one I came up with. The over-under is 50.5 points. Do they get to that, or an NBA player gets that? So, in other words, you could say an NBA player, somebody scores 51, there's a couple of games that day, 4 teams playing, you got 4 chances. Nah, you're going to bet on the 50.5. Number 5, Joe Burrow, 1.5 TDs, over-under. That is a Vegas bet there. Which team wins the coin toss, which is always every year you have that. I remember losing that one time to Scott Dombeck. We had a bet, heads, tails, I don't remember what I bet. I lost and I went, I'm never betting on that again, so I haven't. QB with the most passing yards, that'll be a common prop bet for the Super Bowl. The game is tied at the half. I saw the bets on these, some I don't understand. It's like minus or plus 2,500. So if you bet 2,500, you get 25. I don't know. Anyway, that's one of them. No, this is one of mine. Number 9, a Gator scores points. Now, considering the kicker of one of these teams, Evan McPherson, who, of course, is just a legend up there now and has established himself in so many ways, you would think they're going to score a point, an extra point, a field goal. I don't think they're going to get shut out, so that would be a good bet. If you can get that bet, take it. And that doesn't even include DeMarcus Robinson. You never know. Brandon Powell may run back a punt. That would be something. Number 10, the over-under on laughs from a commercial, 2.5. That's one I set. Now, the laughs would mean your better half laughs. So if your better half laughs, it counts for you. And you can't tell her yet she has to laugh. But I would bet, for me, it'll be about 2.5. They'll be like, the one thing is they did that John Hamm. It looked like a Super Bowl commercial. It's really funny. And they did it before the commercial, so I'm not going to laugh at it. So they lost it. Number 11, somebody drops out of the halftime show. It just feels like it might happen. I don't know why. There's too many because there's so many people. There's 5 people in the halftime show. So somebody may just go, no, if I can't do this. Although it maybe have been choreographed a year ago, so maybe not. You can bet on it. And finally, number 12, the ratings are down from last year. Look, the LA market's great, but you saw the Rams had home field disadvantage in 2 of their games against San Francisco. So I don't know how much people out there care about it. I talked to my daughter. She cares a little bit, but she lives out there. My other daughter's going out there soon, and I don't know. She cares. She wants them to win, but it's not that big a deal. So, you know, I don't know how much people really care about the Rams winning, and that's the LA market, and other people, you know, I don't know how they're going to be into it. And it's Cincinnati. It's a good underdog story, but it's Cincinnati. I don't know. I think the ratings will be down. I would bet that under, believe me. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. We appreciate Chris Doering. Great job by him. Appreciate Evan, as we always do. We'll be back with another show Friday. We'll pick a Leonardo's and Millhopper Quick Picks winner. Somebody will get a nice prize that I will get to them, and I'm hoping by then I will have had lunch with Andy, who won our last one, and I haven't gotten him his prizes yet. I'm trying to set that up. All right, I think that's going to be on Thursday. Anyway, that's going to do it for the show. We appreciate everybody for everything they do. And all of our sponsors, we really appreciate. Go and subscribe to us on any of those sites and watch us, listen to us, do whatever you need to do. We appreciate you. We'll be back on Friday. And until then, Pat Dooley, I will deep. I will deep. I am deep. I'm way back, and I am out of here.